Welcome aboard. Welcome to the stream. I think we are recording. Yes, all right. How is everybody doing today? I hope it is better than you have not been doing. Now, today we have something a little different again. Again, we'll be getting back to the world record attempt streams before long here. Perhaps the next stream. I think the next stream we will get back to that. Now, today we are going to have a quick little discussion on the top 10, because you have to do top 10 lists. That's one of the secrets, one of the many secrets of being an internet successful success story, which is it's more than it looks like, like you know what I mean. So anyway, in regards to the moreness of which we are speaking today, the most important number one thing that people do that they should not do in Minesweeper is not to play it. As we discussed in the previous video about the esoteric secrets and deep lore of Minesweeper, the game is important. It is very, 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 very important. I'm not going to get into why right now, because of course I already did a video about that, and that is a absolute waste of time, covering the same thing over and 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 over again. So not worried about covering that today. But what we do need to cover is why it's a mistake to not play Minesweeper. As you can see, I'm playing Minesweeper right now, feeling pretty good about it. Not playing at a high pace. This is just a casual game right here. Just going just having a good time, talking to the community, to the gaming community that we're all a part of, all of humanity, one way or another. When it comes down to it, when you really break it down, we're all gamers in one sense or another, and that's really what I'm about here, is the fact of that, and that's the glue that holds all of us together. So Minesweeper is, of course, a game, one of them, one of many. And as gamers, how can you not play a game if you're a gamer? So if you say, I'm a gamer, okay, that means you play games. Okay. Is Minesweeper a game? Yes. Okay, so logically, therefore, if you are a gamer, you need to be playing Minesweeper. I mean, it's just as simple as that. So that's just the logic of it. I know some people, it might not be their favorite game yet. We'll see how that goes down in the future, as we continue to go deeper and deeper into the current human age, the age of depression, and people begin to see the value of Minesweeper. We'll hopefully see people come to the light and return to the sweep, as the pros call it. But until then, let's talk about the really ground level, practical reasons that people need to be playing this, even without assuming that they don't have any knowledge of the deep lore of Minesweeper and why it's important to humanity, which many people don't. It's understandable. Some people just aren't. they aren't as astute or intelligent as some other people, so it just takes them a while to catch on to that stuff. It's understandable. Like no shade on them for being of lesser intelligence. It's just that's just the way it is. Sometimes in life for some people. I would like to quote the gamer, the great gamer Wayne Gretzky, the famous shot put player. And he said something that, even though I don't know if he ever played Minesweeper, but nonetheless, the quote is quite poignant, very relevant to the discussion today. And he said, talking about shot put primarily, of course, but it applies to all kinds of games, and especially Minesweeper. But it's that you miss 100% of the pucks you don't shoot, and that's really what is going on with the people who don't play Minesweeper. It's not that it's not like you can just, oh well, I'm not going to play, and if I don't play, I can't lose. No, you are losing. Like that is what it means to lose, is not to play. The losing is not a thing in itself. It's merely the absence of winning. And that's why it's absurd. Just like cold is the absence of heat, and what are some other ones? Cold is the absence of heat. There's no such actual thing as cold, like from a physics standpoint. In philosophy, a lot of schools of thought will say that evil is the absence of good. It does not have ontological existence within itself. That's one point that some schools of thought will make. There is, I believe, there's one more really good analogy for this, and it wasn't. Or vacuum. Vacuum is not a thing in itself. It's the absence of matter. So these are all things that also apply in gaming to winning and losing. Losing is not a thing in itself. It is the absence of winning, and therefore, if you're not playing, you are losing. There is no two ways or even three ways about it. So what does this mean for the people who aren't playing? Well, you'll have to get your act together here, before too long, because history is moving on, whether you like it or not, and that is the way that things are going to be. So that is the first. That's the first mistake in Minesweeper, and really in all of life, that people make, is not to play. So the second mistake that people make in Minesweeper is clicking on a corner with a 1. That's stupid. Why would you do that? Look, dead, depression, sadness, frowny face, X's on the eyes. Those aren't good X's. Those are bad X's. So that is the number 2 mistake. Kind of an obvious one. A lot of people already know this, but I just want to give a jump start to the people who were persuaded by the last, by the previous point, into taking up Minesweeper. And if you don't have any other, information to start with, then you can at least start with that. Don't click a corner with a 1 on it. Just so that's your lesson 1 right there, for getting started playing Minesweeper. If you know that, then the rest of it you can pretty much just figure out by yourself. It's not really a big deal. But mistake number 3, we're moving on already now. That was a quick one. But mistake number 3 would be not recording all of your games with lots of commentary. And that is something that a lot of people, it takes them a long time to to recognize is a mistake. And like, well, why is that a mistake? How is it going to do any good if everybody is streaming all of their games? Obviously, everybody can't. We don't have time to watch every single time somebody's playing Minesweeper, especially if you're really committed to the game and you're putting in your 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day that's necessary to achieve the higher states of being associated with high output, high velocity Minesweeper playing. So what's the point of just posting all of that stuff for everybody to view if there isn't even time for everybody to view it? Why post something for people to not see? And that's a good question. That's almost a valid question. I would ask you this: why would you assume that people have better things to do than to watch Minesweeper videos? Like, do you have a logical basis for saying that? Do you have a peer-reviewed study showing scientifically through, in a controlled environment with placebos, double-blind trial, all that kind of stuff? Do you have scientific proof that that people have better things to do than watching you play Minesweeper and talk about whatever's on your mind? A great philosopher, I believe his name was a great internet atheist philosopher. What was his name? It might have been Matt Dillahunty. He said you shouldn't believe anything without evidence, something to that effect. And it's not just him. A lot of skeptical philosophers will say things like this. And if that's the case, why are you asserting that people have better things to do than watch your Minesweeper videos if you don't have proof of that? Now, if you have evidence of that, if you have a study, then show me, okay? But I've been saying this for years and years. Nobody has brought the goods. Nobody has been able to prove it. And that's what we're about. We're about proof. Why do you think we reject the concept that why do you think we reject the conventional timing pattern in the game? Why do you think it counts purely in seconds instead of going to minutes? Why does it go 58, 59, 60, 61, 62 instead of going 58, 59, 1 minute, and minute 1, minute 2, and so on? It's because there's no proof of minutes. There's no proof that a minute isn't a thing that you can go out into the universe and point to it and say, look, there it is. There's the minute. It's a construct. And that's another one of the points behind Minesweeper here. It's a bit of a it teaches you to not take all of these things at face value, and that is one of the things that that is going to help people arrive at that higher state of being, is by questioning those assumptions and being able to assumptions like you have better things to do than watch somebody play Minesweeper. Watch somebody play Minesweeper, or you have better things to do than make Minesweeper videos about just whatever you're thinking of. You have better things to do than sit in front of your computer or iPad or smart telephone or whatever it is you're using, and just fill your mind with as much Minecraft Minesweeper related content as you can possibly shove into your poor underdeveloped brain that I know you have. So what are you waiting for? Obviously, wait for this video to end. Don't go and do that until you're done watching the video. Want to get that watch time up, but think about that. Okay, so that's the next mistake. The other benefit is that when you record your games, you can go back and look at what you've been doing, and you can get a better sense of how you're improving as a player. That's something that is it's really useful to be able to have an objective measurement of that improvement. Sometimes you feel like you're getting worse or you're stagnating or whatever, and it's not even necessarily about the scores themselves. That's not the only indication of an improvement. Like if you aren't getting like a new PB every week or whatever, that doesn't mean that you're not improving. You can look back at your videos and maybe you'll see that, okay, I'm not hitting PBs, but I used to get sub 150s on about 10% of successful games, and now I'm getting sub 150s at 30% of successful games. That's still an improvement, that shows that you are that maybe your overall speed is not improving dramatically, but your consistency is. And as your consistency improves, then it will be easier and easier to make those leaps in speed and get to the next level of your gameplay that way. So it's really useful for being able to gauge different kinds of improvement and see where you're struggling, where you're succeeding, and just keep you motivated to keep improving and getting better at the game. The other thing it does is it creates a sense of investment in the game. So you start streaming, you start making videos or whatever about doing this. It kind of, by putting your name on it in a public forum that way, it makes it easier to keep up with the habit and continue to pursue improvement, even when you get bored, even when you don't feel like it. That's going to give you that sense of, okay, this is it's not just something you do because you're bored, like that ignorant Minesweeper fan trailer that was made a while back, which, again, like I said before, it's a funny thing. Like, it's I get it, like, haha, funny stuff, but man, it just gets so much stuff wrong about this game and what it means and what it is. So that is the number 3 mistake, is not recording your games, not posting them online, not giving commentary, all that kind of stuff. That's another thing too. The commentary, it's like a form of multitasking, and that's going to make you better too. It's kind of like turning your brain into a dual core processor instead of a single core. And like we talked about in the esoteric lore video, the point of Minesweeper is to get you thinking like a computer, because that's what's going to bring humanity out of the age of depression. Get you thinking like a computer. What do computers have nowadays? They have multi-core processors. They're much better at multitasking. And so by playing Minesweeper while giving commentary, you're going to develop that kind of multi-core, multi-threaded thinking that humans are going to be relying on in the post-depression age, the Minesweeper age, as we should probably call it. So that is the number 3 mistake that people make in regards to Minesweeper. Now, the number 4 mistake is it's a little bit of a different one. Okay, so let's back up here for a second. Let's look at this section, for instance. Okay, we've got a lot of 1s here, a couple 2s. Now, when people encounter a situation like this, there's kind of a mental switch in your brain that associates the blues and the greens with, oh, this is, this is friendly, this is kind of safe territory. And then so what a lot of people do is they'll go through, they'll mark their corners, they'll clear their chords, all right, and then what they'll do is they'll stop on their first chords, and then they'll, instead of pushing forward, they'll go back and look for more of the easy ones. So instead of pushing forward into, okay, this 3 here is, I've chord on that 2, and we're ready to go and push in deeper here. These 2s, we're ready to push in deeper. This 4, we're pushing in deeper, and we're cutting into here. What a lot of people do is they'll like freeze once they start seeing these other colors popping up, and they'll retreat back to the ones. Oh, I'm gonna chord here, even though that hardly does anything. We punched really deep into this block right here. By just following where we were at. That saves you mouse movement. That that also forces you to get into a higher thinking kind of mode. It forces you to follow that progression from easy ones into 2s, into 3s and 4s, and all that kind of stuff, from easy to medium to hard, rather than trying to stay in that easy spot. It's like trying to it's like panicking at the end of a tutorial level in a game and trying to trying to stay there where it's where it's safe, instead of pressing on and doing what needs to be done. That's not going to help you learn, and it's really not even going to help you clear that board faster, because you do want to punch in deep quickly. If there is if there's a spot on the board where it's going to be a 50-50, there's going to be a guess, you want to get there and find that as soon as possible, because you're either going to guess right or you're going to guess wrong. And if you're going to guess wrong, the sooner you do it, the better. You get back to there's only so much time in life, at least as long as we inhabit our human bodies. There's only so much time in our lives, only so many minutes that you can put into, or seconds rather, that you can put into Minesweeper. And so if you're going to have these 50-50s, find them, get them over with. That way you can get onto your next game sooner. Time wasted on your current game is time stolen from your last game, the last game of your life. Somewhere down the line, you're going to run out of time. That is the number 4 mistake that is made by the people, the gamers, unfortunately. Now, number 5 mistake. Number 5 mistake is winning a game and not taking a brief moment to appreciate the sunglasses smiley face. You have to look at it, maybe venerate it a little bit, not too much. Just think about it for a second, because remember, what is this for? What did we talk about in the last video? The sunglasses smiley face guy. This is a reminder that even when your brain becomes a computer, you'll still be capable of happiness and satisfaction. That's what this is proof of. And so you need to remember that, because for a lot of people, they're so attached to their inferiority that the idea of becoming like kind of a computer brain kind of person, it's especially for like extroverted personality types. Oh my goodness, they never they can never let this stuff go. There was just like that's why we need to, my opinion, just mandate all of the mandate all the vaccines that are out there immediately upon birth. Just give them everything, and hopefully we'll get a little more autism, get rid of some of these extroverts. But anyway, anyway, so this is for a reminder. you know, for the weak of heart, and really for everybody, that hey, there's still happiness and satisfaction on the other side of this journey. Even when you're thinking like a computer and you can solve a Minesweeper board in 5.5 seconds, this is how you're going to feel. It's not going to be droning and robotic and dismal. This is what it's going to be like all the time. Look at him. No depression. You can't be depressed if you got sunglasses and a smile like that on. Come on. So, number 5 mistake, not taking just a moment to appreciate that. The moments wasted, you know, playing easy on the board, trying to avoid getting to the real decision points, the 50-50s, all that kind of stuff. Those are the wasted moments. These are the moments that remind you what life is about. Number 6 mistake that Minesweeper gamers may make is, what was it? Oh, I had it on the tip of my tongue. I literally thought of it. I'm not even like stalling for time to think of something. I literally had it right on my mind. And this is why, again, you know, need to become more computer-like, because this is just the kind of human weakness. My goodness, what would it have been? What was that? Man, I am totally. I should have made notes. Man, that was dumb. Right. No. Yeah, I get it. All right. Okay, I got it. Number. Yeah. No wonder I have tried to block this out of my brain for just being how horrible and awful it is. But the version of Minesweeper post Windows Vista since then, with the different colors and everything, that's another mistake people will make, is playing that at all. Don't do it. There are several websites you can play this stuff. Obviously, we've been using minesweeperonline.com. It's a pretty good one. But like we talked about in the previous video, there is so much meaning and lore in the color scheme of this game. That's half the whole point of the game is tied to the color scheme of it. So when you change that, and this again is because the founder of Minesweeper, because he died in the 90s, everything just kind of went down the toilet after that. It is really a huge disappointment that that they changed Minesweeper in this way. There are you know, hypothetically, there could be like good things that you could do to refine it more. Obviously, like I mentioned in our first video on Minesweeper, actually, the timer glitch in relation to some sped up recordings, fixing that would have been a good idea. But changing the whole the look of the game. The look is so much of what the game is. It's really an abomination. It's practically a crime, in the strongest sense of the word. And I don't mean that lightly. I don't take that lightly either. So that's almost the number 1 mistake, I would say, actually, because that's a really serious one. That's really a bad idea to do that. You got to play the gray version. There's just no other way around that. All right. Now, the number 7 mistake that people make is playing games that aren't Minesweeper more than you play Minesweeper. Some people think that like they're on board with it. Okay, Minesweeper is gonna bring us out of the age of depression. It's gonna do all this, you know, all this great stuff. It's a great game. It's the best game that's ever been made. But you know, for me, it's just not like, it's not up to my. It doesn't fit my tastes such that I want to play it more than every other game. You know, people think that they can just take Minesweeper and make it like a small part of their gaming career rather than the main event. And frankly, that's just not true. And it represents a misunderstanding of why the game is here in the first place. It's not just for the gameplay, although if you understand the gameplay, you know, people who understand the gameplay, they do realize that, okay, this really is the best gameplay, even if it's not the kind of game that that just, you know, tickles your your autism dopamine glands like right out of the gate. It's not for that. That's not what it's for. It's not meant to just give you those cheap thrills and tickles like a video game version of pornography. That's not what it is here for. It's for something much more deep and meaningful than that. So you cannot assess the game purely in its place in your life purely based on how it feels to play it the first, you know, few dozen, few hundred, few thousand times that you play through it. You've really got to you've got to sink into this thing all the way and make this what your gaming career is all about, because there really is just absolutely nothing that that comes anywhere close to this game and what it means for us. So that is the next mistake. That was number 7. Now we go on to number 8. The 8th mistake that people make is wasting too much time on the custom game mode. And that's another sign of this is better than the previous point that we made. People, they, you know, it doesn't quite tickle their dopamine glands quite enough for their tastes to what they're used to, you know, with all the fake cardboard video games out there. And so they want a taste of novelty, and to their credit, at least they don't go to another game. They do stick with Minesweeper, but they go to the custom game modes and just make this, you know, this wacky kind of stuff. You know, an expert-sized board with 10 mines on it, or a beginner board with like as many mines as will fit. And this is it's a complete waste of time. And if that's and I get like the novelty is like kind of fun or whatever, but if Minesweeper was just about novelty and having fun, there'd be no point for it to exist. Then you would have a valid argument as far as, oh, well, I'm just going to play some other game because it's more fun, because that's the point of gaming. That's not the point of gaming. That is, the point of gaming is not to have fun. The point of video games, the reason that they have come into the world at this point, is to end the age of depression for humanity. Which is why we hold Benjamin Franklin to be almost a prophet of sorts, the inventor of the first video game. Even though he lived at a time before the age of depression, before it had taken hold, there were still signs of it coming, and he wanted to go ahead and it was more or less revealed to him in a dream while he was doing his transcendental meditation that there was a solution that combined fun and electricity, as they called it at that point, which is why he flew his yo-yo into the Lightman Storm and burnt it with the key. And that's another part of it too, that this was the key to solving the age of depression, the coming age of depression in humanity. So anyway, not to get too deep into history here, kind of, you know, I am really into history. I'd love to talk about history all day long, but that's not the point of this right now. The point is that the custom game modes, all this wacky stuff, it's not that you can't do it. Obviously, it's there for you to take a break, have some fun every once in a while. But for the most part, until you get really deep into this game, just leave it alone. It's a distraction. It's not helping you to think like a computer. These modes, expert especially, have been crafted very carefully. Lots of science and research going into this stuff to make sure that it is totally optimized for the development of the human mind into its desired state, as we've talked about ad nauseum. So, custom games, not so much of a not something to really put any time into. Especially if you're early on in your Minesweeper career and you're just feeling bored with it, absolutely 100% stay away. It's not, you're not at the point to be able to use this game mode responsibly yet. And that brings us to numbers 8 and 9. So mistakes, oh, not 8 and 9, sorry, that was mistake number 8. Mistakes 9 and 10, they don't exist because there is no 9 and 10 in Minesweeper. So that's it. Y'all have a good one.